Hello, hello to everyone, and happy Columbus Day and happy Indigenous Peoples Day. So, we are having just a lovely little Monday holiday here in the United States. And some of us aren't working and some of us are still working, but regardless, I'd like to welcome you all. I'm Renee McLaughlin, and this live stream, I am going to just share with you a little bit about what these beautiful devices, I call it the magic wand, but it's actually called the iTeraCare health blower, um, is with you tonight. So I'm going to do it a little differently tonight than I normally do, in that tonight I'm just going to explain and go over what exactly happens when you turn that health blower on. What's it doing in the body? And then we're going to share some testimonials, because I want to share with you just some of the possibilities that you might experience when you get a wand of your own or you turn it on. And then on Thursday night, same time, 7:30, then I'm going to share exactly how to do it. So tonight is strictly going to be all about what it is and what happens when you turn this on. So thanks for joining, everybody. All right, so here we go. And by the way, love to have it. You can go down in the comments and just say hi to me. Sometimes if you haven't given permission, it might not give me your name. So just let me know who it is. And hey, Tammy, thanks for coming on, babe. So happy to see you here tonight. So I'm going to get right into the presentation. Here we go. I'm adding it to the stream. And I always love calling it this, putting the power of the hertz, the terahertz, to work for you. Like I always like to say, put the hertz where it hurts, because we know that's one great thing that it's going to do. And thanks, you guys. So nice to see all of you. I appreciate that. Good to see you all on here, and thanks. All right, let us get started. So the very first thing that is important is I want to do a disclaimer, because this device is not a medical device. It's not an equipment. It's actually a physiotherapy device, but we just call it a certified household electronic or electrical equipment. That's all it is. It has been certified as safe to use. It emits no harmful radiation. That's really important. It is 100% safe, and it does have labels that allow for its distribution internationally, because we are in, I don't even know how many countries now, maybe over 50 countries, which is just amazing in about a year and a half. So again, it's not medical equipment. So, you always need to check with your medical professional for any types of questions of medical regard. All right. I think we got all that right. Let's move on. All right, so what is this wand? And all three of them, you can see we have three wands. They all are based on three top core technologies. So the first technology is terahertz. We know that when we turn this blower on, we are going to be emitting terahertz frequency. Now, why is that important, and what the heck is it? Well, terahertz frequency, if you actually look right here on this little scale, it sits between microwaves and infrared. It's a very specific wave band. And guess what? The terahertz resonates at the same frequency as a normal, or I'll call it a healthy, human cell. And it generates 100 million vibrations per second. So when we turn this on and we get that terahertz frequency, it's actually going to be transferring that beautiful energy directly into the human body, and it activates our inert cells. So I want you to think about it like this. This is how I like to think about it. It's like a battery pack. And why would we need a battery pack? Well, you know what? Kind of like our cell phone. With our cell phones, when it's fully charged, everything works great. And then we use it. And at the end of the day, all the energy is kind of out of it. We have to plug it back into with the battery and charge it back up. Well, our actually healthy cells are the same way. We have these healthy cells, and we use, and I'm going to show you a slide in a second, just kind of showing that over time, even our own healthy cells with toxicity and radiation, we start to lose the charge. And that's one of the ways that we start to age. We become more inflamed, etc. So when we turn this on, it's actually going to give us like a battery pack of energy in our healthy cells. That's one of the things that it does. Then it also can identify, I'm kind of going over here. While it does that, it also identifies any cells that aren't like healthy human cells. What do I mean by that? Well, you know what? Bacteria, viruses, other types of cells that might not be serving our health well, it's going to actually cause them to resonate really, really quickly and basically liquefy and leave the body. Kind of like if you've ever seen, with the opera singer, have you ever seen that demonstration where you have that wine glass and she has this huge, beautiful frequency and it's just too much for the wine glass and it explodes? Very much the same way. So it can identify cells that do not belong in the body and allow our body to basically get rid of them. Now, one of the principal treatments of the iTeraCare is to unclog capillaries to enhance the body and the cells to function healthily. So it works very much on our microcirculation. Now, one of the things you're going to see with this presentation is you're going to hear some terms that you might not be as familiar with because they're going to be based on traditional Chinese medicine. So these wands were actually designed as a combination of Chinese medicine and Western cytology technology. Cytology meaning cell technology. So when we blow into the body, one of the things that it's going to do is, as it's doing that, it's going to open our body's energy meridians. So in here, it's going to say it's going to unclog capillaries and work on microcirculation, which is true, but it's also going to unblock all of our body's energy meridians. It's also going to work on our lymphatic system. Let's go maybe a little bit more Western into the fascia, where it unclogs that and allows our lymphatic system to start to move. It moves the static lymph. So when you're getting rid of cells, etc., that don't belong, we need to make sure that our lymphatic system and our energy body is moving, right? Let's move all that out and open everything up so that the body can heal itself. So this is a huge part of the technology of this wand. And I want you to understand this. In our Western minds, in our Western medical culture, we're very much isolationists, aren't we? Right? So in other words, what I mean by that is, oh, we have a stomach problem. We go to the GI doctor. We have an eye problem. We go to the ophthalmologist, right? Everything is all done in isolation. So that's kind of how we tend to think. We go to those doctors and we get a medical diagnosis. And so we sort of think like, well, hey, Renee, will the wand work for, and I get a medical diagnosis. But with the wand, I want you to think instead of diagnosis in isolation, I want you to think as the body as a whole. This is much more how the traditional Chinese medicine doctors think about it. They see our bodies like this organism that's all part of the environment. Everything is all in one whole. So that when there is a dis-ease, they see it like there's some kind of a blockage in the energy field. And they work on unblocking the energy field and then allowing the body to heal itself. So I want you to think in terms of whole and unblocking any place that might be causing any type of symptom, but more as an energy field. So I hope that helps as we go through this for you to get ideas of whether or not this wand is going to be able to assist your body in opening up these energy fields and feeling better. All right, the next part of our three core technology is quantum, or what we call scalar energy. And this is also frequency that is put out with the wand. Where the terahertz tends to go directly in and penetrates deeply, the quantum is out all around the body. So what it's actually doing is it's helping to balance our bodies. It helps to strengthen our auric field or our body field. And it allows us to have a much better feeling of well-being. So it's not just the terahertz, it's also this that really helps us as well. And the third part of the technology are the core or quantum or the quartz crystal technology. And so these wands have over 100 trace minerals in them, along with this quartz technology, so that when we do turn it on, that quartz is able to help really penetrate deep into our bones. It's estimated that it penetrates up to 30 centimeters and can even get deep into the bone marrow, also helping to enhance our blood circulation. Going to see that a little bit more in just a moment. Again, the activation. So I'm over here in the 5 main features. It also resonates with the body cells, which I said, and it also strengthens our body's DNA, or the replication of our cells. I talked about identifying safety. It is 100% safe, non-ionizing, non-radiating. So I want you to know that with this 100% safe, you can have that and have a good peace of mind with that. It's also super easy to use, and that's a huge part of it as well. I have a lot of different energy and frequency machines. I've had a lot of them over the years, and they're phenomenal, but they come with a really big learner. I mean, you have to really learn how to use them, and a lot of times it can depend on the person who is actually doing the treatment plan on that. And with this, it doesn't matter. Basically, guys, you turn it on and blow. You can come back on Thursday. I'll give you a little bit more with that, but it really is super easy to use. All right. I love this next screen because let me show you again the way that it works and why we're looking at the whole body. So our healthy cells, or a normal, I'm going to call it a normal cell, has a frequency of 20 to 25 millivolts. That's kind of the energy of it. But you know what happens? Just like the cell phone, when we're using it all day, what do? We have some bad diet. How many of us have been under any stress over the whole course of our life, and certainly over the last few years? Radiation, sitting in front of these monitors, computers, maybe going up and flying. There's so much radiation. Acidity, toxicity. Yeah, you get the picture, right? Well, over time, it weakens our body cells. And as soon as it goes from the 20 to 25 MVs to about 15, that's when inflammation starts. And what do we know about chronic conditions? They are a huge part of inflammation, or should I say inflammation is a huge cause of chronic conditions. Now it's already weakened. Then we continue to get more radiation and more stress. And what happens is that cell continues to lose that energy. And now it's down to about 10 and it's in an abnormal state. So what happens when we have all these cells that are in an inactive state or they're inert? Now we take our wand and we blow both the terahertz and that scalar energy in. We give it that battery pack, and now the cell is back up and optimized. So keep that in mind. That's what's happening over time. All right. I talked about just briefly now the idea of how it can penetrate up to 20 to 30 centimeters into the body. And one of the reasons that that's so important is because when we are able to do that, with the heat, that is a huge part of the wand. So the wand also gives off heat as well as the frequency. And when you are able to blow in 10 to into, let me say this, right deeply into the spine and all of your bones with the heat, that allows the body to actually release our body's own stem cells. Now, you might have heard about stem cell therapy. This has been around for a while now, where doctors will take stem cells and they will actually inject the stem cells into different parts of the body. Typically, it's like into joints. That's where you typically hear it, like into knee joints, into shoulder joints, because they're hoping that those stem cells will help the body regenerate the tendons, ligaments, bone in those particular joints. And you know what's interesting is that that's not an immediate, oh, I just had some stem cell therapy and 2 days later I'm feeling better. It can actually take up to 6 months to a year before you really get the benefits of the stem cells. But with this, we can just go directly into the spine, into the hips, into even some of the cranial bones, and we're finding that that will allow the body to actually release those stem cells. So we're actually getting the benefits as that as well. All right. So the device has been patented. We have all of the certifications. So we know that it is safe, it is effective, it has electronic conformity. In other words, we know that there's no radiation coming off of it. It's all been tested. And there's even been 62 different clinical studies that have been issued by the Beijing Research Institute of Chemical Technology. And it shows all the things that the wand has been shown to be effective with. And that's what we're going to show you as we go through who it's really good for. That's what the clinical studies have shown. All right. What is it suitable for? Well, we've already talked about inflammation. It is so helpful from all types of inflammation. So if anything that you have ends with an itis, you're good to go. Like rhinitis, pharyngitis, gastritis, gynecological inflammations, okay? Prostatitis. We've had beautiful results with all of these things. All right, various pains. So if you suffer from shoulder and neck pain, joint pain, it's so good for that. It's great for low back pain, dysmenorrhea, headaches, sciatica. All these kinds of things have been absolutely proven and shown to be helpful when you use the wand with it. Various blockages. All right, so again, you might see a little bit of the Chinese medicine in here. Meridian blockages. Yes, you point and blow, and we're going to open up all those blockages. Now, lymphatic blockage, we talked about that, and that has to do with the fascia also, because the fascia and the lymph are intricately related. So we're going to start hydrating into that fascia, allowing the scar tissue to start to unbind and move around. All these things really help us look and feel so much better. Great for varicose veins. We talked about that microcirculation into the varicose veins, into the arteries. Really good for weight loss, especially if it has to do with toxicity and inflammation, which it often does. Insomnia. Oh my gosh, insomnia is so rampant, and we've seen a great result with insomnia. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean right away, but over time, as the body rebalances itself and the inflammation starts going down, sleep can be so deep. I know for myself personally, I have never slept this well, deep, without getting up, every couple hours. So really good for that. Diabetes, wonderful to help with blood sugar control, especially over time. Both high blood pressure and low blood pressure can also be helped with this. Again, we're rebalancing the body, okay? Various skin conditions, wonderful for skin conditions. Really helps with acne, to help reduce the acne scars with blemishes. Very anti-aging, can help with wrinkles and all kinds of skin conditions, psoriasis, eczema, etc. But there are contraindications. So it's not perfect and wonderful for absolutely everything. So let's go over those. And the first thing is pregnant women. We do not want on pregnant women. And menstruation. Now, with a caveat for menstruation, which is one of the things that we have found that the wand will do, is it reduces the blood viscosity. So when we are inflamed, one of the things that does happen is our blood can get really kind of thick and coagulated. It doesn't move as easily. It's one of the causes when we get our clogged arteries. So it really helps reduce that and allow the blood to flow much better through the body. It thins the blood. Now, even if you're on blood thinner, you might just watch to pay attention to it. We've had some people be able to lower that a little bit with your doctor and with tests. Okay, so just know that it's not a contraindication. Just be aware of that. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because of with menstruation. So for some women, they love it. They love to use it, especially on the heat. If they have cramping, when you blow with the heat on the belly, it can feel really good. For some women, they love it and they find that from bleeding, it's no different. Some women have experienced a higher menstrual flow when they're using it. So just be aware of that so that you know which way you want to go with it. Acute diseases, something comes on quickly. No, you go seek medical attention. This is not for acute diseases. It is not for people with congenital heart and diseases. So anything that you know that you're under doctor's treatment, it's congenital, that's where you're going to stay. Objects implanted. Yes, we do not want to wand directly over anything that's been implanted. So let's talk about this. Any metal that's implanted in the body, okay, whether it's in joints, etc., hip joints, knee joints, shoulder joints, anything in the spine, do not want directly over that. Includes teeth implants. Does that mean you cannot wand on your face? It does not mean that. You just don't go like this right into the implant, okay? I use it. I have implants, but I might like do it up this way. I'm still going to go down here, but I'm up and around it. I'm not going directly into it. Breast implants, do not wand over breast implants, okay? Very important. Not front nor back. So what you can do is you can also wand on hands and feet in other places. I'll go over that again on part 2 on Thursday. And we also don't want to wand directly over big open wounds or fractures, right? Again, these are the kinds of things when you have a big open wound, you get a fracture, we seek medical attention first. That's most important. You want to do whatever you can to heal up that wound at first, whether it's stitching or whatever they need to do. Then once it's starting to close and you're starting to get some good scarring, then you can go ahead and wand. Same thing with fractures. We're going to put a cast on. Okay, that's what we're going to do. When the cast comes off, then we can assist. All right, I think that makes pretty good sense. So all that being said, now let's talk briefly about the 3 different devices that we have. Now, all 3, again, have all 3 of those core technologies. So the first one, the one you've probably seen the most, is our beautiful red classic device. This is the one that most people start with. It's the most affordable. So when you start out, it's $350, and that includes shipping. And these, by the way, are prices for the United States. If you're in another country, please ask the person that brought you here to this presentation for those particular prices. They're a little bit different, but all based on the 350. Now, this particular one, the 3, has 3 different settings on it. Setting 1 is called, these are my terms, a high blow. Okay, so it has a lot of it's a heavier blow and kind of a light heat, a little bit of heat on some. That varies with some different wands. Then the second one is not quite as much of a high blow, but a medium heat. And then the third, it is a high blow and high heat on these. Now, these devices were meant to be used with heat. Chinese medicine, they love the heat. They feel that that's really helpful, especially when we're going in through the bone and into inflammation. Chinese medicine feels that when we have inflammation and these kinds of blockages, that the heat is really helpful because it will open that up and allow oxygen, nutrients, etc., to get in there to heal that system. Western medicine, typically a lot of times the doctors will recommend going to ice, and they want the inflammation to come down. So I'm not going to go on either side of that, just saying that's the difference. Okay. So that's why we use heat. Now, the second, let me go right to the Pro, okay? So the Pro was one of the first ones that we had. I'm going to go down here to show you this. And this was actually the 3rd generation of wand, okay? So the very first generation of wand was over $400,000 in US when they first came out with it. So over the years, the company that does all the research, they kept trying, going and going and going and refining it and refining it. And this is the 3rd generation. It is an incredible device called the Pro. It does have 6 different settings. It does have a cold shot for those people, especially in clinics who are doing aesthetics and want to do a cold shot on the face and in the skin. This is typically used in clinic settings, but it doesn't have to be. I love my Pro as well. Let me show you just the difference so you get a sense of how big this is. It is bigger. It is heavier. It's a very sturdy device. It's very powerful. Here's it is next to my wand. So you can see the difference just from one to the other. It is powerful. So if you're in a clinic setting and you want the best of the best and you know you're going to be doing it on a lot of people, this is the one for you. All right, $3,500. Again, that is US dollars, different in the different countries. And then just a few months ago, we were blessed with another wand. This one is actually the 5th generation. This wand has even It's even more powerful. I don't want to say it's more powerful than the Pro because the Pro has other things with it. It is as well, but it is a really beautiful device as well. It is 1050. It has two settings. Now, why only two settings? Well, again, because the doctors and scientists continue to work on people to study the effects of it. And they are convinced that the heat is the deal. You need the heat to get the best benefits. So this one has setting one is low blow. It's not a super high blow, and a medium heat, and then a high blow, high heat. So one of the nice things about this one is, especially on the first setting, it's a little bit quieter. So, these look and sound like hair dryers with the blow, right? And so that can be upsetting, especially if you're using it on some pets. So I love the fact that on my first setting, yes, you can hear it, but it's not as loud as any of the others. Now, if that becomes too hot for you on different parts of the body, because you're going to be wanding on different parts of the body, all you have to do is move it away from the body a little bit. So what happens is when I talk about that 30 centimeter penetration, it's actually once the frequency hits the skin and goes in. So if you find that, oh my gosh, I love this one and I love this one, but it's a little bit too warm for maybe doing on your face, or certain parts of your body might be more temperature or heat sensitive than others, you just pull it a little bit further away and you can still wand. So this is a beautiful wand. It's actually my favorite, to be honest. It's light. And again, let's look at the difference of this one. So you can see that with this one, it has a much longer blower snout. I call it the blower snout from here to here. And so because of that, when you do it on your hand, you have a little bit more weight on the hand. Now it's light, so I don't want to make it out like that. But some of us don't have a lot of wrist or hand strength. So just wanted to mention that. This one is a little bit wider here, but notice that the blower snout is not quite as long. So you don't have quite as much on the wrist. So I just thought I'd mention that as well. All right. So those are the three different wand choices that you have, and every one of them is wonderful. All right. So let's go on. From here now, I just want to share with you some beautiful testimonials. Now, I love these testimonials for so many reasons. One, because it just does show you that absolutely when you turn these blowers on, something is definitely happening. And if you've tried it, you know there is something going on here, and it is powerful. But also to recognize again, when I talk about not talking about diagnoses, but more looking at how does this wand help us as a whole body. Okay. And that's what I want you to think about when you're looking at this and why. So, why would it help somebody lose weight? And you can see, especially with the belly fat, that it absolutely can. Why? Because it's removing toxins, excess fats, and water retention. So, one of the things this does is it removes and lowers any kind of edema. Now, we talk about high blood pressure. What happens? One of the reasons or things that happen when we get high blood pressure is you go to the doctor, right? And the doctor puts you on a low sodium diet and maybe even gives you a diuretic. Why? Because one of the things that can happen is when the water does not get into the cells, instead it pools around maybe ankles and hands and heart, etc. That is not helpful, can raise the blood pressure. So one of the things that the wand does is, yes, it clears out that excess water, and water retention can really make a big difference with that and with weight. And the other thing, I just want you to recognize this, that the body is it's just so brilliant. It's so brilliant. It's mind-boggling. Like we can't even conceive of how brilliant our own bodies are. But one of the things that can happen is when we are in touch with a lot of different toxins, whether it doesn't matter, just we have toxin load. The body knows that it can't keep it in the bloodstream, etc., because it could be, depending on how much it is, a bit life-threatening. So what does the body do? Well, it will push it and store it into the body's fat cells. Now, why fat cells? Because our fat cells are essentially inert. They're there. They're not really being used. The reason that we have fat cells, it's our body's own storage form of energy. So thinking about way back caveman days when the body recognized that it wasn't going to be fed all the time and there might be times of starvation, we needed to have those fat cells, right? Because then over time in starvation, the body would start to use the fat cells. But you know what? Guess what? Most of us aren't starving at this point. We've got an excess of our fat cells. So it stuffs the toxins in there, okay? So that it doesn't auto intoxicate the body. Well, now, as the body is revamping and we're starting to get rid of some of the toxicity, it can start to burn through some of the fat and get rid of the toxicity. And guess what can happen? Ta-da! We can end up losing some excess weight. And I know none of you would probably complain about that. All right, let's look at this one. So on the left, this woman had wanted her hand, and on this one, she didn't. So you can see a lightening of the freckles, maybe some liver and aging spots, and definitely some wrinkles. I didn't see when I saw this. I don't know how long she was actually wanding with this, but I just thought that was just a beautiful, just an example of one of the things that can happen over time. Over time. All right. So there'll be a couple here that might be a little bit like if you're a little squeamish, but this one was a nail infection recovery. And at first, this poor person lost the nail and got very infected. You can see that over here. And things just weren't happening. They were trying to use all kinds of treatments on it. Nothing was happening. That's what it was looking like. And they just wanted it. And after 2 weeks, you can see that the infection is gone and the nail is starting to come back. Very good. I love that. Now, this particular testimonial is very dear to my heart because this is from my 91-year-old father who has a history of, what should we call it? Growths. Let's use that term, growths. And he's had a few deep ones cut out, but he had a few that I didn't even know about that he was just like, he just didn't even want to go have them cut out, at 91 or 92. He just wasn't into it. And I didn't even know about it, but he had kind of showed me this taken off his shirt. This was on his shoulder. And I looked and I was like trying not to overreact, but I was pretty shocked when I saw it. You can't really even tell so much in the picture, but it was raised. It was a very large growth coming out of that shoulder. So what did we do? We got right in and just started wanding. So I just started wanding on it. And he was wand on it after I left. He would have my mother wand a little bit on it. And after 6 days, I came back. What's going on? Have you been wanding? Oh, yeah, he's been wanding. My mother's been wanding him. I took off the shirt. I said, well, let me see what's going on. He didn't even know because it was kind of back up in here. And I looked and look at this. That large growth had fallen off and the skin underneath it started to heal. So that just was just a beautiful testimonial. All right. Here's another one. This woman had fallen actually and really scraped up her hand. Now you can see that she's probably an elderly woman. And as we do get older, that skin thins. So even sometimes a scrape or whatever can really cause some skin injury. So you can see what happened here. She was pretty banged up. So her daughter started just wanding on her, wanding. And that was Friday night. And she put a Band-Aid on it. And the next day she came over, took the Band-Aid off, wanded. And then that night, the mother said, look at this, came and took a picture. So that was just overnight. So that was really a beautiful one as well. Again, skin. I know we're showing a lot of skin because that's a beautiful place to actually see some benefits. Dark spots. This woman had a beautiful, about 70% after just one treatment. Now, one of the things that I do recommend, and you can see some of these others before and after, yes, sometimes we can get what I like to call a one-hit wonder, where, just like that one, okay, I only had 1 or 2 treatments and oh my goodness, look at the difference, right? And that absolutely can happen, holding out for that possibility. But if you personally don't get an immediate, oh my gosh, benefit to 1 or 2 things that you were trying to get to, please do not stop. Okay, because I want you to understand that the longer that you do this, the more your healthy cells are charged. You're giving your body the energy that it needs to heal itself. And the body has its own priority of healing, and it's not always your priority of healing. So don't stop. Just keep on going and knowing that there is no way that nothing can be happening. It just isn't possible. It is possible that you might not quite get yet what's going on, so you just keep on doing it. All right. This person has psoriasis, and oh my goodness, look at it. I always like to say this shows what it looked like after 7 days. I really wish we had a picture of what it was before, because sometimes when you have something like this and you begin to do the wand and the body starts to unblock the blockages and get that lymphatic system working, etc., sometimes you can actually get what you would call a little bit worse, because that's what can happen as the body's rebalancing. It can get worse. And that's when you just have to have faith and keep on going. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was a little bit redder after 7 days than when he started. So we go, keep going, keep going, keep going. After 9 days, you can see it has shifted and now it's more flaky. So again, somebody with psoriasis might go, oh my gosh, see, it's getting worse. Now it's flaking. No, they kept going. And after 22 days, they are clearing up and continuing to get better and better. How amazing is that? And that is something, psoriasis, that is a chronic condition, can be quite difficult to heal. Pigmentation, we have a lot of testimonials on pigmentation, whether it's on the face, we saw that on the hands, all different places. And on the face, it can really be, cause some concern for even just self-confidence. So this was beautiful. And this was after 7 times of therapy blowing on it. So again, not a one-hit wonder, but didn't take him 22 days. Phlebitis, another itis that also shows with this. After 20 times of therapy, you can see it gets a little bit better, and then you barely see it. Varicose veins. Again, this is a one-hit wonder, where here it went all the way down to that, but we know that varicose veins can absolutely get better if it's not one-hit wonder over time. This one I thought was really fascinating as well. This woman had trigger finger, and you can see this fourth finger right here. She could not, it was bent like that, and she could not straighten it. So she started working on it one day, 2 days, and after just the second session, look at that, she could straighten her finger. So again, just showing some of these, not to say that, oh, this is going to happen to everybody in the same way, because every one of our bodies are so different. The body, again, keep referring back to its own priority of healing. But I wanted to put this out there so you can see the possibilities, okay? All different kinds of issues are being helped and restored. This sweet woman had rheumatoid arthritis, so again, an itis, and she was unable to close her fingers. They were just like this. But when she used the wand, after just 15 minutes, that frequency was enough to restore the circulation and also relaxing the muscles with that scalar energy, etc. So she was finally able to close her fingers. How wonderful. Bell's palsy. So this is a neurological condition. So look at that. Imagine getting up one day and having that. But then after just a week of therapy, this gentleman was able to have a really, really nice result. Thyroid nodules. So even endocrine glands, because they're all made up of cells, and the endocrine glands are so important for, functioning of the whole body. So this person had some thyroid nodules, and you can see a very enlarged thyroid right here. And after 10 times of just blowing on the thyroid, and I'm sure she did the basic and all the other things too, and it really went down considerably. So, those are the testimonials that I have for you tonight, and hope that this is been helpful to just get a sense of what happens when we turn that on. Okay. And I also just want to share another part. And has a lot to do with that idea of the scalar energy when I talked about how it's actually really strengthening the body field around that. So it's also really important when we are doing the wanding that we also really have it will give you a beautiful sense of well being. When you're wanding, for most of us, it can be very relaxing, which just relaxation and relaxing the nervous system in and of itself is very, very healing for the body. Most of us are always up in that, fight or flight. So just being able to relax and handle and work with that body field can also really give you a beautiful result. And just know that when you do it, that you're also intending to heal. That when you're sending it out, that you're also sending out really positive thoughts. That's actually part of the healing process when you use the wand. So I'm going to encourage you to do that as well. Thank you so much, you guys. So I'm just going to look over here. I know that Cheryl's on there and Charles, hi, babe. She's always so good at helping kind of moderate some of the comments. And so if anybody has any questions about when I went over or any testimonials, please share that. I am once again going to do what I call part 2 on Thursday night, where we're going to talk about how to actually use it, how to wand the water, why, how to go through the body, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to hold that for then. And let me just say and hi to all of you. Thanks so much for saying hi to me and coming on and loving on that premium. I know. And Paula Green is talking. Let me just share this. It's too long for me to put it over in the comments, but I'm just going to read it for anybody that might not be able to see the comments. So she said on the first day after her treatment, she released a pinched meridian nerve she'd had in her neck. Listen to this, you guys, for over 5 years, and it caused carpal tunnel. Why? Because the neck down through the energy field goes right down into the hand. And it was so positive that she had had carpal tunnel surgery scheduled. She canceled it. And after 5 days, varicose veins stopped hurting. So the surgery for that was canceled and her skin tags have disappeared. Psoriasis has improved. Oh my goodness, she's getting all kinds of results. But one thing that I do know about Paula is that she is so excited about it. She's really positive and she sets her intentions really high. She's always going, yes, yes, it's going away. It's going away. And she is finding that to be so true. It's happening. So good. Way to go, Paula. I'm with you there, girl. And hey, Debbie came on, and Tammy. So I hope that this has been helpful for all of you just to learn a little bit about what's actually going on when you turn on this beautiful iTeraCare Classic or Premium or Pro wand. So thanks again, you guys. Have a beautiful evening, and make sure to get back to the person that introduced you to this for any more information and to get your wand coming to you. Thanks so much. Mwah. Have a wonderful, terrific evening. Bye, guys.